Hello and welcome to this new lesson in which we are going to cover dividing C project into many files. Sometimes it would be recommended to split your project into some C files for issue of modularity and organization. All the C files will compile together to generate one output file. The general rule is to use or to call a function in a file that is not the main file. You must know the prototype of that function. Now, let's set this with an example. First, let's make the main file include, and in here, write in main void, and in here, you need to write anything like as function or statement. And for the sake of this lesson, we will write the add function. We will add two numbers together using a function. So let's create the prototype of that function. So void add will take two parameters, int x, int y. Now copy the prototype and place it here. We will do it without separating it to two files. Then I'll show you the separation. Now let's save this. Let's call it 20. Many C files.c. Now this is the prototype. This is the implementation. So this function will basically sum the two numbers x plus y, and it will print the result. So sum result equals %d, and let's say z. That's it. This is our function. It will take two inputs and will return nothing. It will print the result here. And the last thing that we need to do is to call it. We will give it 5 and 6. Now let's compile. I know that I'm typing fast, that's because this is a code that we already did in the functions lesson. So now we will slow things down. We compiled the code, we executed the code, and the result equals 11. Now let's say that we want to organize our code and to make a new file for the function. So we don't want to write the function here inside our main file. So go and create a new file. Let's save it, file save as, and let's give it a name. Let's see that here we have 20. So let's call it 20 add.c because it is the same lesson. Now here in this file, we need to copy the implementation of our function. So cut this, paste it here. Now since we are using printf function, this file will not recognize the printf function. So we need to include the library that has this function. It's called studio, the same one that we called here, stdio.h. Now, that's it. Let's try executing the same code. Now, we don't have any function written here, but you must have the prototype written in the main function. Prototype. And this is where we call the function. The only thing that we copied to the other file is the function implementation. So the separated file has the function implementation. The main file has the prototype and the call. Now to compile these two files, you can simply go here and write gcc. Now I need to concentrate. gcc, the first file name is 20 many files.c, and you need to write the second file name. So write 20 add.c, then hit enter. Now as you can see, it didn't recognize the first file because we have spelling error. we have many C files. Now, once you hit enter, as you can see, it did compile the file. So if you wrote a.exe, you will get the very same result that we got before, even though we have our function implementation in a separated file. And this is how you can split your code into multiple files. Now, this is one approach. The other approach is to create your own library, and this is something we will cover in the next lesson. So let's clear this. Now, another thing that I need to mention in this lesson is that we always get a.exe, which is the default name generated by the compiler. But is there a way to change this name? Yes, there is a way. So let's call the compile again. As you can see, GCC compiler, the first file and the second file. Then add a space. If you added -o, stands for output, you can write any exe file name. So let's name it makefiles.exe. Hit enter. Now you can simply write makefiles.exe. Now we have spelling error, and it will give you the same result. Now we don't have the a.exe, we have the file name that we added. And to get this result, you just need to add -o, then a space, then the file name, and end it with .exe. This is how easy it is to customize the output file name. Instead of keeps getting a.exe, now you can customize it to get any file name depending on the project that you are working on. Now let's go back to our code and summarize what we did. We added the prototype to the main file. We called the function inside the main. Now, where is the implementation? The implementation is in the separated file. Here is the second C file. We called it with any name, and we added the implementation for that function. But in order for this implementation to work, we need to add this library because we are using the printf function, which is a function that is not recognized by this file. So we need to include the stdio.h library to make our function recognize the printf function. So you can separate the implementation, but you have to call the prototype before the main function, and you can easily call the function inside your main. This is one way to do this. Again, the rules are simple. You need to compile or use a GCC compiler to compile both files. And we already mentioned that you can change the a.exe default output to anything by adding -o, a space, then the file name. That's it for this lesson. I know that these are a lot of information to take, but they are very simple. If you want to separate your project, you can make another file and place all of the functions implementation into that new C file. In the next lesson, we are going to talk about libraries and how you can easily create a library in C. Thanks for watching this lesson. This is Ashraf from Educational Engineering Team.